Hello once again from Skip, Victor Echo 6 Bravo, Golf Tango. Little video story here on what I've just done to my 13 centimeter, what I call a dual driver amplifier system. This is a stage in my 13 centimeter transmitter system that takes the transmitter signal and preamplifies it, then drives it with a dual stage, and then output goes into the two Spectrain water-cooled amplifiers to give me, well, it's supposed to be 300 watts. And lately, it's just been falling off. I'd be transmitting and it would drop down from 300 down to 150 in no time at all. So it's time to dig into it and find out what's going on. So just to cover what's involved in this thing, it has three Spectrain RF boards, same as what's in the bigger amplifiers. One is what I call the pre-driver. It takes a signal from the transverter and amplifies it. It's powered by 12 volts. From there it goes into a basic copper ring splitter, and the two outputs then go into the two main amplifiers, driver A and driver B, which are at 24 volts. These really amplify or boost the signal up anywhere from 20 to 30 watts, 35 watts even, and that's what's fed out and drives the main water-cooled Spectrain amplifiers to put it up to 300 watts, and it usually works pretty good. This is what it looks like inside. The left board is the pre-driver board, which is running at 12 volts from the shack power supply, and then the other two boards to the right are the main drivers, amplifier A and amplifier B, which are powered from 24 volts from the 300 amp power supply that's in the 13 centimeter rack amplifier system here. The ring splitter is underneath the cover, just at the bottom right hand side. You can see the dummy load that's on top of it for the rejection port. Anyways, it's fed with a semi-rigid hard line to and from to the different associated boards. From earlier testing, I could switch into some of the diagnostic screens I have on the Nextion displays. What I was seeing was the drive from the pre-driver was dropping out. And I checked the input from the transverter. It was solid. It wouldn't change at all, but the pre-driver was the finicky one. And what I discovered was that the voltage, the 12 volts going to it, if there's even a slightest change in that thing by a volt, the output drastically changed, of course, and that goes into the bigger amplifiers, and the output drop. And there was a cooling situation also, I think, which I've done some modifications to. I didn't take any pictures of the actual testing part, but you'll see what I've done here shortly to remedy it all. Okay, so here's the setup. TS2000 on the left there, and the transverter shelf in the middle here. The GPS is just running without an antenna. That gives me a 10 megahertz reference for the local oscillator and the transverter. And we'll go over here to the dual driver output, or amplifier I mean. That's what we're going to be testing next. And it output in the back there, you can see the two heat sinks, or attenuators, which go over to the dual watt meters. This is the power supply in the middle there, middle of the picture, the black power supply that's supplying the roughly 15 volts for that pre-driver board that I'm testing here. So anyways, that's the setup for now. Okay, we're going to test her out here. So put that in the transmit. I'll swing over here. This in the transmit. The fan's coming on. Let's see if I can key this up. Switch over here. Gymnastics, output. Then let's go back. Oh, we got 12 volts on the pre-driver, so I'll have to adjust that. Okay. We'll see here. Now I'm adjusting the power supply. Oh yeah. That's about where she's going to peak. Right there somewhere. Any more, it just saturates or something. Okay. There's 23 watts here, 20 watts on the watt meter. Let's go over to driver. It's only 1.1 watt. That's surprising. Huh. See the current up and down, but okay. Get over to the just I'm looking for 25 watts. There's my 30. I think go more, but I'm kind of overdoing it, I think, on my one attenuator on the dummy load, or the power meter. But it seems to be hanging in there. Before it would just drop off like a rock. So it seems like this external power supply is doing something. So this is part of my cunning plan to develop the 15 volts instead of using 12 volts out of the shack. It's a little inverter system that I got off Amazon, cheap, like $15. I couldn't believe it. It's supposed to be good for 20 amps. Anyways, variable inputs, variable outputs. It's all adjustable. So I'm going to have 24 volts off the 300 amp supply going into this thing. And then the output is adjustable to, I think it's anywhere from 6 to 30 volts or some stupid thing. It's crazy. Anyways, I'll adjust it down to 15 volts. So this is where we're going to test out that, we'll call it a step down or a step up, depending how you want to tune it. There's 24 volts going into it, and the output is 15 volts, as you can see on the 1 meter there. And I got the scope hooked onto it. I want to see what the output looks like in this Chinese thing. Got it from Amazon. It's dirt cheap. And I'm using the load over here for, I'm going to pull about 5 amps out of it because that's all I'll be probably pulling out of. So if you can see it on there, we'll start pulling. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 5.2 amps. And I'll swing over here, and I don't see no spikes or nothing. See, it's dropped on a 14.8, which I can live with. That might be just voltage drop in the wires for all I know. I'll look at it a little more often, but it does have adjustment for voltage and constant current. And I got the constant current set for about 9 amps. So what happens when you get the 9 amp section, there it cuts out. Drops down even more as I go up. So now if I lower the load, it pops back up again. I'll swing over here and show you that over here. If you can see it, I don't know. As we go up, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and there's 8, 9 amps roughly. So still pulls current out of the load, but the output is shut down. It's a neat little circuit for, I think I paid $15 for it from Amazon. This is should power up that preamplifier hopefully, so we shall see. Well, being happy that the little inverter seems to work, I had to get the thing mounted in a chassis or somewhere. I don't have a whole lot of room, so you can see in these pictures I built a kind of a side bracket off the cover for the RF boards themselves, and then a single standoff that comes off the bottom of the chassis to at least have 3 bolts holding the inverter. A little higher up in the air than the rest of the stuff. Directly underneath the inverter board, there's you can see a couple of little miniature circuit boards mounted closer to the chassis. The farthest one there is a new one. It's a 0 to 10 amp current sensor for the pre-driver board, and it's been added to add current data for the new display on the next-gen screen. So there's 3 of them in there now, and that pretty well wraps it up for getting everything installed and hooked up. Right, here we go again. this time is with the new 15-volt inverter in there. So it's you can see the fluke in the middle there is monitoring that voltage. I got a scope way over on the left to look at the output of that inverter just for giggles, see what it does. And then again back over to the 2 watt meters, power meters I should say. So we'll go back to center here. We'll get zoomed into the center. Alright, here we go again. We'll look at the diagnostics page here. You can sort of see it. I can't get much lower with the camera. It's looking at 14.9 volts. I mean, Fluke says 15, so close enough. We'll go over to the RF output stage here. And we'll start keying things up. Transverter's in. That's in. I'll grab the push block. I'm kind of a long stretch here. Until we'll see what happens. I might be overdriving it here again. Oh, there we go. Oh yeah, the power supply is right at 20 amps. That's where it starts cutting back, but putting out 30 watts. And the Fluke over here, you can see on the left, it actually controls itself for output. It actually boosts the power up a little bit for a little load. It's only pulling maybe 3 amps, 4 amps, but it works good. And then over here on the power, I don't know if you can see, maybe close enough or not, but if I zoom in a little bit, yeah, 28 watts or so, what the bar graphs are reading too. So they're close. I know I got them calibrated close to the end, so it seems to be hanging in there. The big trick is the cooling, I think, is what I was having trouble with before. When I was testing this thing earlier, set the mic down. When I was testing this thing earlier, I had the here, we'll go back here a bit. You can see I got the system off the bench a little bit. Well, there's 2 squirrel cage fans underneath there, and they were being blocked by the bench. So if I pull the shelf of the dual driver out, more air gets in, and it stays within good temperatures. Now it's sitting at, if you can see it there, I'll zoom in a little bit. Yeah, it's sitting at 23 degrees. Not bad at all. If I'm still in transmit here, so I'll key it again. See if I can do it without kicking something over. Yeah. Put about 25, 26 watts here, and she's going up a little bit at a time, but it's a lot better for it. Before it was getting warm real fast, so I think it was half my issue. Anyways, get her back in the shelf on the rack, and back in the rack, and see what happens. I guess here, hook to the dish, and give it a whirl. Hopefully it'll work. One thing I forgot to do was show you the scope. How good that inverter's working. Put things in transmit here again, and grab the microphone. Oop. Yep, so we're putting out. We'll swing over to the scope here. Maybe zoom in a bit. And there we go. Nothing. I'm still hooked on there. Oh, hang on. Probe came off. I'm on ground with it. Let's try that. There we go. That's better. Now you see the voltage. I'm AC coupled on the scope, so you can see it bounce a little bit there as it changes. But there's no big ripple or nothing. So it's working. Yep. Piece of cake. I think we got her. So all the testing on the bench is finished, so we disassembled it all there and moved it all over to the racks and got it all mounted and wired in, and now comes the fun part. Picture of it all hooked up and running, showing good water flow, and all the sequencer enabling is good, so we're good to carry on. Just going through some of the screens here to get things set up where I want to have them so I can monitor the workings of the new dual driver and go from there. Just having a gander at the voltage supplies that are connected to the water-cooled Spectrain amps, and no, just having a look around. Figured I'd put the fans on full time manually just to make sure there's adequate cooling, good cooling all the time for this test, and see if she's going to go into transmit. Because at this point here, I was going to key it all up, and I noticed the sequencer was disabled. I don't know why I left the upper Nextion screen in this certain display. It's programmed for keeping everything from going into transmit in this mode, so dummy me again. Good thing I got lots of lights to tell me what's going on and what isn't working. Yeah, I'd be pulling my hair out by now. I can hear the sequencer clicking all the relays in, so she's keying up, and look, we have some RF. Just adjusting the drive from the TS2000 here to get her kicked up a little bit more. I switched over to the new pre-driver screen, and we'll look at it, and I don't know. I've got to check this again. I just cannot believe this thing's only putting out 1.2 watts. I calibrated it around that area, but I bet it's more like 2 or 3 watts. And now for the end result. This is really good to see. I've never had this thing go over 300 watts. This is with a 1 kilowatt slug in the bird meter. And if I transmitted this long before, it would maybe bounce up to maybe 280 or something like that, and then slowly drop down to 200 and then even less in this period of time. So it's doing its thing. Is another indication that things are working a lot better. I've never had these bar graphs go this high. These are the output displays for the individual boards on the water-cooled Spectrain amplifiers. They're really reaching to the top now. Just thought I'd throw this display in there. This is kind of neat to watch. This is the one of the diagnostic screens for just one of the Spectrain water-cooled amplifiers, which has the 3 boards in there, amp 1, amp 2, and amp 3, and it's showing you the current of each one of them. Somewhere between 54, 55, 56 amps total for this 1 amp, so times that by 2, and then what the dual driver pulls. It's up there. Okay, let's get back on the moon. We're going to test this. I know we heard an echo before, but kind of got ahead of myself. Anyways, moon's at around 96 degrees and only 11 degrees above elevation, or above the horizon, I should say. And as you can see in these pictures, it's not the greatest. I'm still looking in trees across the road, but it'll do. Okay, enough fooling around. Let's see if we can see some echoes and hear some echoes with this lower elevation going to the top of the bushes there. It shouldn't be too bad. So I waited a little later. Well, actually, I was echoing the whole time, but anyways, just a little later on in the afternoon. The moon now is around 30 degrees elevation and 129 degrees azimuth, and a lot better position, getting away from the trees. So we'll do some more playing around here. Oh, whoops, looks like I need to adjust the Doppler a little bit. She's a little bit off. Oh yes, that sounds a little better. Well, that's about all there is to it. Looks like the dual driver is working way better than it ever has, for that matter, so I think I got her licked. Just a little more playing around here tonight. I got some more things to do to the display in the dual driver, change some of the labeling, and there's another little gimmick in there I'm going to play with yet, the constant current setting on that inverter board. If I get that set just right, it'll also act as a, what we'd call an overdrive limit. If I was to hit her too hard, it would start folding back, and the pick would sense the voltage tripping off, and it would turn the sequencer off. So, oh, there's always something to play with. It's always fun. So that's it on the dual amplifier upgrade. And oh boy, does it smell good around the dish back here when the wind is blowing through those lilacs in bloom. It is pure heaven. Anyways, thanks for watching. 73s from Skip. Victor Echo 6 Bravo Golf Tango.